Jamaica and Venezuela to deepen trade relations. High praises for recipients of the Prime Minister's Youth Awards for Excellence. And leading by example, PM spends time reading with children. You're watching Jamaica House Weekly. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Jamaica and Venezuela are set to deepen their relationship in matters of trade and commerce. This follows a meeting between cabinet ministers and a Venezuelan delegation, which included General Secretary of Petrocaribe, Bernardo Alvarez. Though there were no agreements regarding the Petrocaribe agreement, the Prime Minister said a number of other important initiatives were discussed.
Venezuela is looking to be engaged in terms of trade with us. And we are to identify areas as well that we can trade with Venezuela. And we did not discuss just trade with Jamaica, but trade with our CARICOM region.
The committee, which has been set up to oversee Jamaica's switch from analog to digital communication technology by 2015, is getting ready to submit its recommendations to Cabinet. Information Minister Senator Sandra Faulkner, who chairs the committee, gave that update on Tuesday at the Broadcasting Commission of Jamaica's conference on the future of media and regulation.
Transformational and related legislative changes are also programmed for this year to secure an environment where Jamaicans are key contributors to and participants in the information society and the knowledge economy.
In the meantime, the minister added that stakeholder consultations on the electronic media policy were completed.
This will provide an enabling framework for the new media landscape and, importantly, anchor our ambitions in being regional leaders in innovation, content creation, cultural exchange and promotion, and regulation.
These young people dared to be different. These are the young people who did not surrender to negative influences.
Prime Minister Simpson Miller lauding the 2014 nominees of the Prime Minister's Youth Awards for Excellence. 25 of the country's outstanding young people received the award at a recent ceremony at Jamaica House.
They were not daunted by swimming upstream, and they were not distracted from their goals in life. They did not fear the tides and waves. Indeed, they were propelled by them.
The 2014 recipients, ages 15 to 24, were selected from a pool of 41 nominees drawn from rural and urban areas with varying social backgrounds. The awardees were recognized for their work in areas such as community service and volunteerism, entrepreneurship, scientific innovation, agriculture, excellence in sports, and academic achievement. The Prime Minister has saluted UNAIDS for their support in the fight against HIV and AIDS in Jamaica. That commendation was made during a courtesy call with Director of UNAIDS Caribbean Regional Support Team, Dr. Luis Lores, and Deputy Executive Director Denzel Douglas, who is also the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis. The Prime Minister noted that mother-to-child transmission of HIV and AIDS in Jamaica is now less than 5%. An HIV workplace policy is also in place to prevent discrimination and stigma.
When your teachers stand before you, try to consume everything like you're enjoying your breakfast or your lunch or your dinner.
A useful tip from the Prime Minister to students at the Greenwich Town All-Age School last Wednesday. The Prime Minister participated in the 5th staging of the Grace Kennedy Group's Western Union Reading Week, held under the theme, "A Great Reader Makes a Great Leader." Mrs. Simpson-Miller also used the opportunity to encourage parents, communities, and schools to ensure children are protected and educated.
Parents need to see to the attendance of their children to school, and to ensure, even if they themselves cannot read, but take the child, sit the child down and say, no, you do your homework. And sometimes to check with the teachers to see how that child is progressing.
And the Minister with responsibility for sport, Natalie Nita Headley, attended the Queen's Baton reception at the Rio Hotel last week. The Queen's Baton Relay, which is similar to the Olympic Torch Relay, takes participants around the world and is held prior to the beginning of the Commonwealth Games. The baton carries a message from Queen Elizabeth, the head of the Commonwealth. And last week, Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller expressed profound sadness at the passing of the former Prime Minister and President of Trinidad and Tobago, Arthur A.N.R. Robinson. In a release, Mrs. Simpson-Miller said Mr. Robinson was one of the Caribbean's most accomplished leaders who strongly advocated for sovereign rights of Caribbean people. She added that Jamaica's thoughts and prayers were with Mr. Robinson's family and the government and the people of Trinidad and Tobago. A.N.R. Robinson served as Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago from 1986 to 1991 and later as President in 1997. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister also paid tribute to Jamaican Professor Norman Gervin, who died on April 9. At the time of his death, Professor Gervin was the UN Secretary General's personal representative on the Guyana-Venezuela border dispute. He also served as Secretary General of the Association of Caribbean States. The Prime Minister said Professor Gervin had left a legacy of excellence and accomplishment that should serve to inspire others. And that's it for this week's edition of Jamaica House Weekly. Come next week, we'll bring you highlights of activities from the Office of the Prime Minister.